Hi, James. Look, thank you very much for taking part in the Business Spotlight series. I'm going to hand straight over to you to introduce yourself and what you do.
Hi there, Ed. Thank you for inviting me to start with. James Higgins, founder and CEO of Ethical Bedding. And our goal is to transform the sleep industry, the bedding industry, with a range of super sustainable bedding products, primarily made using eucalyptus, but also blends of bamboo, post-consumer recycled bottles. And at the moment, we focus mostly on sheets. Filled goods would include pillows, duvets, etc., blankets, and soon to be mattresses, which are very fascinating indeed. The company is coming up to 3 years old in February and been bootstrapped up until this point. And we will be doing our first fundraise towards the end of January, start through into February. So exciting times.
Yeah, definitely. And so tell me a bit more about the bedding and what it's like and why you should use it rather than other bedding.
It's the best bedding in the world. I've got the best bedding in maybe not in the world, certainly in the UK. I've got the best bedding. So eucalyptus is a bit of a wonder fabric. It's compared to your average cotton, so it uses no herbicides, no pesticides to grow. It grows on non-farmable land. So there's obviously food shortages all over the world. It's a very good use of land, whereas cotton grows on farmable land. We use 30% less energy in production than cotton. We use one non-toxic chemical, amine oxide, which is to process the eucalyptus. So we use the wood, we harvest the wood. People think you use the leaves, you don't use the wood. So it's a lyocell, a man-made lyocell fabric, and yeah, that 99.9% of that is cycled back through into the process. So from a sustainability standpoint, it's a wonder fabric, and everyone should be using it for all sorts of things to replace cotton. It is more expensive. Also from a sleep perspective, it's far superior. It's super silky, super smooth, really good for eczema sufferers or anyone with skin conditions. Keeps your skin hydrated, your hair hydrated. And fit just feels unbelievable. It's also highly breathable. So most people sleep too hot unwittingly, and it's highly breathable. So you'll get a better night's sleep from it. And also, I think, there's a connectedness to the peace of mind that you would have when you are buying from a smaller business that are consciously going out of their way to do the right thing. And for me personally anyway, I know lots of our customers say, so it gives you a sense of peace and a sense of like you're doing the right thing before you when you wake up in the morning, you feel good. When you go to sleep, you feel good. So but I would make everything out of eucalyptus. It's absolutely fun, and I will one day. It's absolutely fantastic stuff. Yeah, those are our products. I love them. Our customers love them. We also do some fragrances, some homewares, and like I said, mattresses soon to be, which is an amazing industry.
Fragrances or?
Well, so one of them's got a eucalyptus base, but it doesn't have that eucalyptusy smell. But they're all natural, non-synthetic. So it'd be cocoa soy for the candles base. But interestingly, it's really, so I didn't know a lot about fragrances before we started doing them. It's really hard to have all natural. So it's a blend of essential oils basically, without using synthetics. So lots of the fragrances all over the market that you would associate with big brands typically all have synthetics in there. So to get the blend just right, so it still smells, it's a perfume grade, fragrance, but with no toxins and no synthetics basically, which is very hard to achieve. And interestingly, we don't market them very well on the website yet, because as is the way with most things, you constantly end up chasing your tail with things to do. And we are at a big inflection point in the business, waiting to invest a fairly significant amount of money into in part how we're presenting ourselves online, but also creative content production in order to market our products, because they really are fantastic. But I would say that, but I wouldn't sell things that I didn't think were fantastic. So.
Sure. And look, on that, who would you say is your ideal customer? Who are you targeting?
Yeah, good question. So we we get a whole range. We get a whole range, and you'd be surprised. Like, you know, in case anyone's listening that was thinking about starting a bedding company, I'm not going to start giving out too many, you know, trade secrets and things like this. But the mix isn't necessarily what you might think that it would be. And we're actually looking to target a slightly different audience. In starting from Q1, we're going to start experimenting. Nobody's really targeting like men specifically, for instance, for bedding type products in the UK. So we're going to go after that market a little bit, and I wouldn't call it like a full rebrand or a full rethink in terms of the positioning, but things are going to be a little bit more poppy. Is that a word? Poppy? Maybe more poppy, a little bit more vibrant, and I'm quite a chirpy chappy, and I think that some of that will be much more reflective in what how we're presenting ourselves as a brand. I will be positioned more at the center of, you know, people are shopping more and more with videos rather than just raw images, and so I'll be positioned more at the center of what's going on there from a marketing perspective, really, and explaining, because I know my product's better than anyone, explaining what the benefits are, what people should go for, depending on, you know, what their preferences would be, or, you know, whether they sleep on their side or their back or things like this. So it's a constant discovery of understanding, you know, exactly what your target market is. And like I say, I don't want to give away too many secrets, because, you know, it's a nice business. Thank you very much, and I prefer it if fewer people enter the market. So
that makes sense. Okay, and look, you mentioned obviously we're going for a few years. What was the impact of COVID?
It slowed everything down a lot. It was a weird one, because the business was formed in February 2020. And COVID was all just kicking off then. Like the long felt impacts now it's only just now, with, you know, the price of a 40-foot container, for instance, has gone down to anything close to a reasonable level, and they're still scattered all over the world, presumably, these containers. But the raw unit cost for us, if you're including freight as part of that, went up, you know, a lot as a result. The lead times for shipping went up a lot as a result. It all has a cash flow impact. Interestingly, you know, e-com had a bit of a boom during that time, and we were still a bit too young to really get all the benefits from that. And it was at a stage we actually, you know, we had some supply chain issues, as everyone, you know, sort of did at the time, because it's not just getting the goods from A to B, from, you know, manufacturing facility to Felixstowe, wherever they're going. But it's the yeah, we had issues with it from a manufacturing perspective, and had to change some suppliers as a result of it entirely. So that particular time, I wouldn't say we were dormant for a large amount of time, but we did a proof of concept for on a shoestring for what we wanted the business to look like. Does the UK market want these types of products positioned in this type of way? Yes, it does. And then sort of went back to the drawing board. Yeah, it's difficult to say exactly what the long-term impacts will be. I would say, you know, well, you I don't know what your areas of interest are or specialties, but e-com overshot in general where people thought that it would, and it's now started to pull back, possibly a little bit more aggressively as a result of it. I'd say more broadly at a macroeconomic level, the impacts of COVID will still be felt for many, many decades to come, because people are going to be paying for that, and ultimately that means that there will be slower spending on certain types of items. So yeah, obviously there's direct and indirect bad stuff, some shorter, some longer. Yeah.
Sure. Okay. So I was going to ask about any challenges, but I guess that probably covers covers some of those. What do you think the future looks like for your business? You mentioned obviously that you're going through some funding and you've got more plans to grow.
I'd tell you the challenges with any sort of new business like this, you know, relatively new stuff that we still know just about. It's always cash flow, and you know, there's always a banker or a lender, and you know, when it's, you know, it's the rain stopped, here's the umbrella. It's like no, this is when we need the money for this. The price of money is quite expensive still, really. I don't know when that will stop being the case, but increasingly so, you know, with interest rates where they are now. So yeah, there's more challenge, and getting the products just right. It's really, really hard to get the products just right. And I think, you know, we're there now. And we're still understanding and learning all the time. You know, like the question, you know, the first question you asked about, you know, what was your ideal customer? We're still learning that. We're still learning that, and it will change. And it will change over the next 2, 3, 5 years. Yeah, the future is looking very bright. It's a fantastic time for us. We've got a really good team in place, and as I described to lots of people, spent 3 years like building a rocket ship, and we're just waiting for the fuel to arrive, and then it's blast off. And you know, very, very highly scalable in everything that we do. All of our products are highly scalable, and it's just a case of getting our names out there. We've got some major PR events coming up in Q1 next year, and it's quite easy, he says, to expand geographically. Like, we do sell into the US and Canada and Europe and all over the world actually, but the tone of voice, obviously there's language differences depending on where you go. So you go for the UK market, you know, English speaking markets first. But geographically, bed sizes are different all over the world, which is good because it's a solid barrier to entry for big boys in the US, for instance, entering the UK market. But it adds a layer of complication selling into those markets as well. But that's, you know, that is very much in plan for next year. You know, I think penciled and, you know, towards the end of Q3, start Q4 to be in EU, US, Canada. But there's different ways of doing it. You know, I don't, respectfully, I've not done too much research into the types of businesses that you would speak to, etc. But there's ways of funding. Sorry, there's ways of funding. It's always the way, isn't it?
It is.
There's ways of funding. There's ways of funding things differently to how they used to be. So you can do crowdfund type campaigns on a product by product basis, which would act as the springboard for us to sort of attack those markets. Other very cool stuff that's coming out. We are accelerating. I'm not joking. I've got the best mattress in the UK. I've got the best mattress in the UK. So it's been in there for a while, and handmade in the UK by one of the biggest mattress manufacturers in the UK, and extremely high end, very high quality, incredible story in terms of the raw materials that we're using, end of life, taking mattresses away, recycling them, extending the lifespan of the mattress itself from typically what would be, 5 years, 10 years at the most, up to 15 years, and replacing what would typically be animal-based products with more inventive organic materials, and it's just ridiculously comfortable. It's like next level comfort. So it'll be interesting because it's a difficult market to crack, and it's not. I say this now, you never know. I don't think it will be like a primary revenue driver. It was never in plan to be a primary revenue driver as part of our business. But the more I was sort of investigating it and looking into the market, like, it's very, very doable. And I'm just like so excited by this product. So excited by this product.
I'm excited to try it. It's just I'm curious to try this, the best mattress in the UK.
I've never known. You know, better than any hotel bed you'll sleep in. Like the incredible level of comfort, and support. And yeah, I'm super excited for it. Super excited for it. So we've got a firm. We're hoping, you know, to be there towards mid-Jan, but we'll see how it goes. And like, you know, you've got to get your products out there, but we'll market it and present the product as the best we can, and then there'll be a more well thought out marketing strategy thereafter. But obviously, you know, we've got a big database of existing customers with our sheets that love them. So if anyone is looking for a mattress, it becomes a lot easier to sell things to existing customers. But like, I'm not joking, mate. Like, it's ridiculous. It's so good.
So anyway, we can try it.
Well, this is it. You know, so we can look. We will look to do it. You know, position it in a few stores and things like this. But this, you know, this is the direct to consumer model. And the minute, you know, and I've said the whole time. So we were in talks with Selfridges last year, and I know a few of our products have been sent to Harrods as well. But I don't really want to go to too many other places initially. You know, some of the smaller independent ones, and it's fine. So, for instance, like you can absorb the sorts of margins that these stores would want on products that we don't have any partners with, that we're manufacturing and owning. Wait a second. Hello.
Hi.
Sorry about that. So yeah, if we'll see. I mean, we'll try. We will get them into a few places, but it's got to be a two-way thing. And like we have been speaking to some of the bigger bed and homeware focused stores, specifically nationwide stores specifically. It's a funny industry, the mattress industry. It's not my. But I'm just like, you know, sort of delving into it and learning a bit more. But it's very well regulated in the UK, like what you can put out there, what messages you can say and do. And actually, from a sustainability perspective, an end of life perspective, and quality perspective, it's actually quite well governed. Surprisingly, so really well governed, which is nice to see. But yeah, this is the thing with new businesses. The sales team is basically me, and you know, that'll be the way for a while. We've got a COO coming in start of next year, who after, you know, a few weeks upskilling and training for me, eventually there'll be a role transition entirely. And the intention is for then, you know, this is the way that I do things anyway, over several businesses over the years. I like to go in and learn everything specifically about an area, a vertical or whatever you want to call it, such that I'll know how to hire well. I'll understand that part of the business very well. I'd be skilled enough to do some of it myself. And I think that's really, you know, for me, that's really important. So you know, it's always a time thing. It's like, where's the best use of time and energy at any one specific point in time? And also, so we're literally just about to flip into profitability at the start of next year ish. And I only hire good people. And good people aren't cheap. And if I'm going to get some sort of commercial director or something, they all want the big bucks. And so until you know, the intention has always been build the brand, have amazing products, build the brand, and then eventually, as happens now with suppliers for new products, and will start to happen with stores. shouldn't necessarily be a case that we're always going out and outreaching to them. They will start to take note and come to us. So we'll see. And the way that people shop is very different now. So, you know, obviously you would have seen what happened with made.com, but we were a supplier to made.com. And just fulfilled goods actually, but they'd just taken on the whole range. And it wasn't like huge amounts of money that we were doing through them every month, but it was a hit, like, and they owed us cash. And think how far down the list of creditors we would be if that would actually be receiving. Forget it, like it's a write-off. So there's a lot of these sort of like marketplaces and middleman platforms that do drop shipping type models, which tends to suit this type of product better. But yeah, that's a long way of answering. How can I test your mattress, James? But yeah, I know I'd love to have. I'd love to have it in a few. I'd love to have it in a few stores, because I'd love to have all of our stuff in it. You know, but it's bit by bit, and it's better to move slowly in the right direction than quickly in the wrong one. And I think the more we establish ourselves and people get to know us, it's a lot easier to make some of these deals. So
yeah, definitely. Really interesting, and I think you answered quite a lot of things that I could have asked you in that one answer. So it's always good.
Should we wrap it up? Is that it? Are we done?
So, not quite. One more. What would you say inspires you, James? I'm sure that this is one I'm sure you're going to have some passionate things about, because you come across that way, that you've got a lot of passion about what you do.
Everything inspires me. Amazing things inspire me. Painful things inspire me. The world inspires me. Nature inspires me. Other people inspire me. Everything. You can take inspiration from absolutely everything. Everyone's very different in what they want to do, and I won't tell you the full story, because you wouldn't believe me if I did tell you, and so I won't tell you the full story. But if you find yourself in a position where you have almost everything stripped away from you, and you then strip your life back to absolutely bare essentials of what you might need, it's actually very, very powerful mentally, and it puts you in a position to be able to not worry and not have anxieties, and try and get a greater understanding of what's actually important in the world and in life. And for me, I see the way that not only people interact with themselves, but how they interact with the world. And I see specifically how businesses that could be and should be held accountable for doing things in different ways, and they in better ways, and they don't do them. And they don't do them because they want to make more money. We're a loss-making company that's been bootstrapped, and we still make charitable donations of 1% of our top line revenue every year. We pay an increased amount to have all of our products made to the highest specifications from a sustainability perspective, down to minute details in the packaging, tiny details that cost more money, and we care about it. And I don't understand why other businesses don't do this. And what I don't understand is why they're not held accountable when they don't do these things. And they just say, just follow the money. And if you only have to look at the size of some of these pension funds all over the world and things like this, and the companies that they might invest in, and the impact that might have on their the numbers that they post every year. And we're getting a bit deep here in terms of who actually gives a shit about what. And I think people want for too much, and everyone should want for a little bit less. And I think that many people realize, and increasingly so, perhaps when they're a little bit older than I am, oh fuck, I probably should have done things a little bit differently. Maybe I've been a bit of a dick. I'm speaking, maybe you might have to paraphrase that a little bit.
That's all right.
But it's like, why do people? I don't know. there's certain things that do really disturb me that I see in the world all the time, and possibly in my lifetime, if I can make some sort of impact to not only changing the perception about how, you know, what people can use as from a textiles perspective, but also consciously change like how they shop, where they shop, why they're shopping, and buying things of a higher quality that can be loved for a longer amount of time, and being happier with less, but much higher quality products, and being acutely aware of like what it is they're buying, who are they buying it from, what's that money being used for. I don't know. I think, and I am somebody that I love it. Even when I'm in London, I don't like to be in London too much. When I spend half my time in the park, honestly, I'll take my meetings in the park. I will, you know, just be walking around, taking my meetings, listen to music, drinking tea, anything. Love it in there. Love being immersed, surrounded by nature. And I think, you know, that's a huge driver for me. Especially I'm a little boy, and I've always loved being in nature. And I would hate to think that lots of the things that I've been lucky enough to see and do would not be as available to him. And it's just one of those. It's like, you know, we're doing now what is the most, you know, some of the most, really is from a textiles perspective and impact, you know, planetary perspective. What would be the lowest? What's the lowest impact that you could possibly have? And as you know, as science is, you prove something, you disprove it. There's a new thing. And if at some point we find, well, actually, you should use this, we'll use that. We'll explore whether that's we'll do a concept in a key market and say, well, you know, we need to use hemp, or we need to use this, or we need to use that, or whatever it might be. And I just think that there needs to be a bit more forward thinking, you know, on this stuff. And this is why I said to you by email, I said, can I say anything? And you said, yeah, sort of. But it's like, you know, it really, it's at a governmental level, right? And there isn't help for businesses like mine. They couldn't give a shit. They say, oh, you know, this is the agenda for sustainability and this and that and that and that and that. You can import any old crap you want into the country. So we could import our sheets, and there's a flat rate depending on what it is. I think it's either 6% or 12% depending on the product from an import duty perspective. You can import any old crap, and it's the same rate. It's a bed sheet. Well, it's not a bed sheet. It's different. It doesn't matter. 12%. So we could pass that on. We could pass that on to the consumer, or a price elasticity, supply demand curve. But we can't, because we get charged the same. We could also get tax breaks at the other side from you know, the VAT side. Why not? Why don't you do that? Why? You know, so I said to you, people say that they want to do things. They posture that it's a good idea, but when it actually comes down to it, they don't want to do it. And you know, I've had this conversation with so many people over the years. Or, you know, ultimately, as a consumer, most people, myself included, you care about what's affordable. If it's not affordable for you, you can't buy it. And so many people, like, we can't, you know, I'd love to shop with you, but we can't afford it. It's like, well, we actually can't sell it for any less. So, but we could do if businesses like ours were rewarded, not even rewarded, just like
helped.
Basically, yeah. It's like, but I guess that's, you know, that's the way of things. But it will, you know, I'm guessing in my lifetime things will change. And I've got, you know, like I say, I didn't say this actually, I've probably got another 20 or 30 businesses that I would love to do. With, you know, typically what, you know, I would call them commodity-based products, things like bed sheets or things for the home, bathroom, clothing, basic things, outdoor pursuits, whatever it might be. And there's, you know, in my eyes, there's a good way of doing things, and there's a bad way of doing things. And as long as you're saying, well, this is the good way of doing it, there'll always be a market for that. And I just don't see, I don't know why there's not more people that think like that. But anyway, that's
Well,
fine.
you're getting the word out there, and I get the impression that you're a driven man of purpose. So as ethical bedding grows, maybe you can have more impact on that and make the change that needs to happen.
Be the change you want to see. That's what they say, isn't it? So yeah.
Indeed. Great. Well, that's a nice message to leave it with. But look, really good to speak to you. Really interested to find out about the industry. It's different, and it's nice to find out about different businesses as well as meaningful businesses that want to have a positive impact. Now, I've got a young son as well, so I can resonate with that and would like him to have the same nature that I have. So
Yeah.
thank you for that, and thank you for taking part.